What's up? It's Jen Bengal here from Out of This World Literacy. And in today's video, we're going to talk about decodable readers. And when you hear decodable readers, you might think kindergarten, first grade, but these decodable readers are designed specifically for fifth, sixth, seventh, and up students who are still struggling with phonics skills and they need a systematic phonics instruction. I'm going to talk about how to use decodable readers with older students who are struggling and how to use them in a way that doesn't make them feel embarrassed and honors their dignity and doesn't come across as too babyish for them. So take a look at how you can use decodable readers in those grade levels of fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade with students and not make it look like you're pulling resources for a 6-year-old. I hope you enjoy. So this is a cold, unrehearsed read of a decodable text. And if you use this, you'll be able to see which sound and spelling patterns the students do or don't know. Again, what an assessment does whether they're guessing instead of decoding. So be paying attention to if they're just guessing words, skipping words, or they're taking the time to attempt to decode those, or how they handle multisyllabic and unfamiliar words. They really provide you clear, actionable data. So you're going to measure their accuracy. Are they reading correctly? Their fluency. Are they laboring word for word? Or are they reading in chunks? How's their fluency sounding? And their self-correction and their perseverance. Older students don't have a lot of reading stamina. Older students who struggle typically don't have a lot of reading stamina and they can struggle with their perseverance. So really paying attention to that. Are they going back and correcting? You're using decoding now in the context of a text, right? We're doing comprehension. So older students who struggle often skip or don't retain early reading instruction for a variety of reasons. And we're going to talk about a bunch of different reasons on Tuesday next week, but they just do. So these decodable cold reads will help reinforce that systematic phonics that they missed in when they were in first grade and help rebuild their confidence with manageable text. They're not too long for them. Also, it helps them prevent guessing habits because decodable texts are controlled for specific phonics patterns. The students can't really rely heavily on pictures or context clues, and they must actually decode the words. They're going to build that stamina and pay attention to that print. Once the cold read is done, they can use that decodable text again and again and again. They can reread to boost their fluency, to boost their confidence, and they can use it for dictation or a phonics review integrated into your comprehension grammar, of course, small groups. So, in summary, cold reading decodable texts help teachers assess and reteach with precision, building a strong reading foundation for older students without relying on guesswork or overly simplified babyish content. So you want to look for ones that have a phonics controlled vocabulary. So the majority of the words in the passage are going to follow a phonics pattern. It's really intentionally taught that way. And they may increase in complexity as they go on. There may be some sight words or some vocabulary also introduced too. And another key characteristic is the new text can previously be building upon other taught patterns. So maybe you start with short vowel decodables and you move into long vowel and so on. There's a lot of repetition in decodable text. So the key phonics patterns are repeated multiple times throughout the passage. And this reinforces that orthographic mapping and strengthens the long-term word recognition. There's controlled syntax and sentence structure. There's not super long sentences because with these older readers, they need nice short sentences so that they can get through a thought without having to attend to all of the sounding out of every word, especially if there's multisyllable words. They need to like get to the beginning to the end of a sentence kind of quickly so that they can move on to the next sentence or new thought. And again, it focuses on decoding and it's not focusing on complex grammar and super complex multisyllabic vocabulary and words. Another characteristic of decodable texts that work well is there's not a lot of reliance on context clues or pictures. So they need to decode the words. There's not a lot of illustrations for them, and they're minimal pictures to support comprehension. Another characteristic is they're aligned to a phonics scope and sequence. Kind of, I talked about that already. So it matches a specific pattern in a phonics progression. and they can practice what they've just learned, making the learning to reading connection immediate. And the last, but of course not least, for these kids that so often we have a hard time finding resources for, is that it's age appropriate content. Because decodable readers are mostly almost all designed for 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, not 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds. The stories and the topics need to feel appropriate and respectful for our older readers. The text has to avoid being overly simplistic or juvenile for these kids. They're gonna be like, this is the dumbest story ever. I can't believe I have to read this if it's about something for a 5-year-old, right? The visuals can't appear babyish, and it has to be kind of centered on real life, engaging, informational topics too. Those are the key features. Now, I included this page that I made for you that comes up with 20 questions. So if you're looking at a passage or a book and you're like, hey, is this going to be a good decodable reader for my older kids who are struggling that I know need this phonics and systematic instruction? Take this page. Ask yourself these questions. Check off. If it's yes, check it off. Does it align with the phonics curriculum? There's 5 questions for that. Is it going to be useful in my instruction? There's five, I think 5, 2, 4, 6 questions for that. Is it engaging and age appropriate for my readers? There's some questions for that. And a little final check. Is there a clear purpose for using this as a cold read? So you've got a nice little one-page checklist. When you're looking for decodable readers here, you're going to get this in your free download. So you might be thinking, where can we find decodable readers that fit the criteria and needs of our older readers? This is actually really hard to do, and that's why I have been working for years to create resources like this because there really is not a lot out there. I have these decodable readers and they are actually on sale. I put them half off till 11 o'clock tonight, which I don't think I've ever done before. I just want kids to have resources, especially these kids, that will make them successful. So this bundle gives you 180 passages to use as decodable readers with your older kids in the small group setting. They are specifically designed to cover all of the things that we need in a decodable reader with older kids. If you look at it, you can see the text is focused on a phonics skill that matches a lesson or goal. You can see there's a big rule right up top where they have to follow that vowel E, and you can just literally read this to them and boom, you've covered your skill. Does it provide multiple chances to practice the target? Look at how many words are in here that have that magic E rule for the kids, but not too much text. Can I use this for a short, focused cold read without a lot of pre-teaching? Well, you would just read the big rule and have them read it. Is it short enough to complete in one setting, but long enough to assess decoding? It's all on this one page. Kids aren't going to get overwhelmed. And then you've got all of these words in there to assess. Are they actually reading these words with automaticity? Are they stopping to sound them out? Are they getting them or not? You're paying attention to all of that. And then, of course, the most important part for these older kids, the engagement. Is it age appropriate? Does the story or topic feel appropriate and respectful for older students? We want to respect and honor them for their age. This particular one is called I Missed the Bus, something, a lot of 12-year-olds probably experience. And you can look at the language. The language, this says, walking to school is lame. That sounds like something a 12-year-old would say versus a 6-year-old. It's lame to walk alone. So there's that repetition. He said he was not playing my game. So you can tell this language is not babyish at all for them. I said he was lame. Again, repeating, repetition. Do the visuals support comprehension without looking like they're made for kindergartners? And you can see the art and all of this is designed to really look like it's for like preteen level, even though the ability level in the context is a lower level skill. And then the final check, is there a clear purpose for using this as a cold read? And will this text allow students to feel successful after a first read, even if they make mistakes? I hope you found all of this information about decodable readers useful for you and your students. I truly, truly want to see all students succeed. And this is a big area of help that we need as teachers. We go teach fifth grade and we think everyone's about on fifth grade level, and we realize very quickly we've got kids who are reading at a first grade level and we need some resources. Hopefully, this helps you. I did put all of my decodable readers on half off. You can get a link in the description. All you need to do is use the code phonics and you'll be able to check out with the entire set of decodable readers for half the price. Now, what's really cool is I also offer payment plans. So you can use that half off coupon with a payment plan too. So if you can't afford to pay the total amount, even at half off, I totally get it. You can choose a couple different payment plan options and pay for a couple months and get them half off, even at a more discounted rate. So I just really want students to be able to have access to these resources and teachers as well. So check that link out. There's also a link in the description that gives you some freebies too. So I hope that you enjoy and I hope you found this video very useful. Thank you. Have a great day.